Hello and welcome to episode number 17 of the Golf Front Podcast. My name is Brett Bevilacqua. I'm a realtor with Carolina Property Sales in Southern Pines, North Carolina. This week, we go to the granddaddy of them all, the reason there is golf in the Sandhills, one of the most amazing courses in the country, home of the 1999, 2005, 2014, 2024, 2029, 2035, 2041, and 2046 U.S. Opens. Pinehurst No.2 was also the host course for the 1936 PGA Championship, 1951 Ryder Cup, 1991 and 1992 PGA Tour Championships, 1994 Senior Tour Open, the U.S. Women's Open Championship, the U.S. Amateur Championship, the Hall of Fame Classic, the North-South Men's and Women's Amateur Championship, and the North and South Open Championship, just to name a few. Simply put, Pinehurst No.2 has served as the site of more single golf championships than any other course in America. This course is regularly ranked in the top 10 of public courses by a number of publications and easily makes the top 50 of all golf courses, both public and private. Let me fill you in on a little secret. This course does not disappoint at all on any level. Pinehurst No.2 is regarded as Donald Ross's masterpiece, and in my very humble opinion, I have to agree. Had I not had to close a deal on a home, I would have played a second round on the day I first played Pinehurst No.2. It didn't matter that it was cloudy and cold. Quite frankly, I would play this course again in any condition and would have an exceptional time. I have played so many courses in my life, and I think that is the best way to rank a course's greatness. I can have a good time on just about any golf course when the temperature is in the high 70s to low 80s, the winds are calm, and the sun is shining. The difference between good and great is the desire to play on a day when the mercury reaches triple digits or drops below freezing, when there are gale force winds or in a downpour. I will play Pinehurst No.2 at any time of day or night, and in any conditions, and be thrilled to do so. I loved every second of my round, aside from the 8 I took on the 18th, but that's a story for later in the podcast. Pinehurst No.2 opened in 1907, and Donald Ross continued to perfect the course until his death in 1948. It was redesigned in 1974 and then restored to its current state by Bill Moore and Ben Crenshaw in 2010. I grabbed these stats from the Pinehurst website. Pinehurst No.2 encompasses 196 acres, of which 61 are turf, 41 are fairway. There are 0 acres of rough, 115,000 square feet of greens, and 111 sand bunkers. The tees and fairways at Pinehurst No.2 are Tifway Bermuda, and the greens are Champion Ultradorf. Before we get started, there are a number of things you should know about Pinehurst Resort. First of all, a caddy wouldn't hurt. If you haven't played the course before, it would really help to have someone who knows their way around the course. Hint, hint, I'm available anytime you want to go. There are a handful of blind shots, and had I not played the course with a longtime member, I would have hit shots to the wrong side of the green or been unaware of a couple of hazards. Additionally, don't take a cart unless you absolutely have to. Golf carts are allowed on the cart path only, but this course was made for walking. I took a cart and wished I would have taken one of their pole carts, which is included in the price of a round. Secondly, the practice facility is world-class, if not otherworldly. The practice range is exceptional, and you know you are at a course steeped in history the second you step on the range. I recommend getting to the course no less than 90 minutes prior to your round. Had we not teed off so early, I would have arrived hours before my tee time. There is also Thistledew, an 18-hole putting course that will give you some idea what the greens are like on the course. It is like a miniature golf course, but on real grass. It is something else. Then there's the Deuce, which serves, as Pinehurst puts it, lunch and small bites. The bar features some creative cocktails, with the Eagle Fashion being my favorite. There's a deck that looks over the historic 18th green of No.2. If you don't grab a bite or a beverage after your round and sit on the deck, you are really doing yourself a disservice. In fact, every so often I head over to the Deuce, order a drink, and watch players come up the 18th. This is the life of a guy who loves golf, living in a resort town. Finally, the clubhouse and pro shop. The main hallway of the club is packed with so much golf history, including photos and trophies of tournaments past. I will say it again, if you are playing No.2, make a day of it. No.2 plays 7,588 yards from the U.S. Open tees, over 6,900 from the blue tees, and a much more manageable 6,300 yards from the whites. It has a rating of 76.5 and slope of 138 from the back, and 70.7 and 126 from the white tees. Number 2 starts off with a love tap of a first hole. There's almost no way to get in trouble on this medium length straightaway par 4. The fairway is wide, the waist area isn't all that punitive, and only the left-hand side bunker is close to the green. I hooked my approach shot pin high, almost onto the street, and was still able to scramble for a bogey. The second hole is about 40 yards longer than the first, and the green is why you came to Pinehurst. An undulating turtleback punisher where 3 putts are the norm. Though the second has numerous bunkers, there is a lot of turf surrounding this very intimidating green. The third is the third par 4 in a row, and it is the shortest par 4 on the course. You will want to stay on the left side of the fairway as the green is off to the right behind a series of bunkers on the right as you approach the green. Speaking of which, go too far to the right on the green, and you are rolling off into a bunker. The fourth is another par 4, and this one is number 2's lengthiest. At 434 yards from the white tees and just over 1,000 yards from the tips. Just kidding, 529, but what's the difference? This par 4 starts out from an elevated tee box and challenges all comers with a way too tight fairway. There is of course waist area as with every hole instead of rough, but there are also 6 or maybe 7 bunkers flanking the fairway. To add to the fun, the green has a false front and a bunker front right, and along most of the left side of the green. I scored a double here and felt lucky to do so. After the fourth, the par 5 fifth feels puny. Probably because it's only 30 yards longer and the fairway is at least 50% wider. Like the third hole, to call it a dogleg would be overstated, but the last 40 yards of the fairway turn to the left. There is a strategically placed bunker along the fairway just short of the green. If you can catch the left side or back, you aren't staying on the green. I picked up my first par here, and this would become a reoccurring theme with par 5s. The sixth is a long par 3, deep bunkers on both sides of the green. If you don't hit the green, you will be lucky to escape with a bogey. I went about 15 yards to the right of the right-hand side bunker and had to drop my chip shot behind the green to avoid going over into the left side trap. I somehow escaped with just a double. The par 4 seventh is a medium-length dogleg right. A long drive is key on 7, and thankfully the fairway is wide until the turn. On the turn, the waist area juts out into the fairway. There is a cavernous bunker to the left of the green, and it doesn't help that the green slopes off to the left. If you are going to miss the green left, it is better to miss it in the back left. Ask me how I know. The eighth is the shortest par 5 on the course. Even from the US Open tees, it only plays 502 yards. It was easy to get there in 2, though I rolled off due to the false front. It's another turtleback just like every green on number 2. The bunkers are a good distance from the green. It was almost like Donald Ross felt bad for the average golfer when he designed the 8th hole. I picked up another par here. Fun fact, I could not par a par 4 on the course. Par 5s I went 3 for 4, and besides 6, I didn't do too bad on the par 3s. The ninth is a medium-length par 3 that is completely savage. There is a massive and deep bunker front left of the green and 2 smaller bunkers, one front right and the other behind the green. The green has an extreme left to right slope, and when the pin is right and you are on the left, putting off the green is a real possibility. The 10th is another par 5 that is short from the whites, long from the blues, and 617 yards from the tips. That is crazy. I was tempted to go back there and tee off, but at this point in the round, I was hitting the ball well enough and thought I had a real shot to break 90. Some may laugh at that, but I have lived in Pinehurst for a while, and I know a lot of golfers much better than I who have a tough time breaking 90. Anyway, the change in difficulty is apparent on the back 9 when you get a look at the gargantuan bunker just off the fairway to the left. The 10th has a really small green and is so tough to stick to it. The 11th is a medium-length par 4, and like so many holes at number 2, one side of the green side bunker is in line with the center of the fairway. What I mean to say is you play down a relatively straight fairway, and then the green is cocked off to the left or right side of the fairway. It is so subtle, but it is really genius. In the case of the 11th, the green is just to the right, and the bunkers are deep. There are worse things than being over the middle of the green on the 11th. Like the 11th, the 12th is more of the same thing. A mostly straight fairway with not too much trouble in the waist area if you miss, but this time the green is further off to the right and protected by twice as many bunkers. The green also has a pretty significant slope from right to left. The 13th is probably my favorite hole on the course, or at the very least, the one I'd like to go back and play again. This par 4 bends slightly to the right with a fairway that narrows as you approach an elevated green that is protected by bunkers both right and left. Though the 13th is short, it is daunting as the elevated green puts the intricate design work of the deep and treacherous bunkers on display. I'd venture that the pin in the back of the green would be a nightmare, as it was easy to roll off the back. 14 is one of those par 4s where someone in the group asks, "This is a par 5, right?" Nope, just another par 4 with real deep bunkers and a false front green. To be honest, I was still thinking about the 13th, but 14 was a real challenge and I felt good about my bogey. The 15th is a medium-length par 3. I had trouble holding the green and luckily went left, which is all turf. If you don't play in the sandhills, one of the saving graces is the area around most greens, if it isn't sand, is perfectly manicured turf just like a fairway. For us players who got our start up north, where missing the green by 10 feet meant 3 inches of tall fescue, in the sandhills, you might just pull out your 7-iron or even a putter. That being said, had I rolled off to the right, I would have been in a deep bunker. On the par 5 16th, I just lost focus, and the primary zapper of my focus was my poorly struck tee shot landing in the bunker over the pond to the left of the fairway with the 6-foot lip. I somehow thought a 5-wood was a good choice to escape, and I clipped the sand about a foot below the lip, but luckily it somehow careened up and out about 40 yards forward. My next shot was a duck hook to the trees just shy of the green. I then chipped over the very scary looking left-hand side bunker and avoided the bunker on the back side of the green, never coming close to the terrifying bunker to the right of the green. I finally chipped on and 2-putt for a 7, but at least I didn't have to contend with the green's false front. 17 is a medium-length par 3 that really hammers home that this is a championship golf course. If you miss the relatively small green, you are going to have a tough time picking up a par. If you end up in the expansive bunker layout around the green, you are in trouble. I put my tee shot on, picked up a par, got a little cocky, and started thinking about ending my round with a par. With Pinehurst being historic and all and the home of more than its fair share of major tournaments, I could only imagine what's going through a tournament leader's head with a one-stroke lead as they step onto the tee on the 18th. There's nothing but trouble. To the left is waist area, to the right is one of the most gnarly bunkers I have ever seen. Even if you skirt the right side of the fairway, you are playing with fire as your shot could easily trickle into this gruesome bunker. From there, the fairway narrows as it continues up a slight rise with just the very tip of the flag visible. The waist area to the left trails off and narrows while the waist area to the right expands until it funnels into a monster bunker on the right just short of the green. I'm not going to lie, I crushed my drive, and I had just about an 8-iron to the green. The clubhouse in the background left me so fearful of sculling my iron into onlookers that I not only came up short, I leaked right just short of the monster bunker. Then I chunked a sandwich into the bunker. With my 4th shot, I hit the lip of the bunker and hit my 5th shot out of the bunker over the green. Then I chipped back onto the green and 2-putt for an 8 to finish the day with a 46 on the front and a 48 on the back. While I don't think a par is probable for mere mortals or those who aren't incredibly fortunate on 18, I do think a bogey could have been had if I just had confidence in my approach shot. Had I done that, I would have finished with a respectable 91, and then would be thinking about where I could have shaved 2 strokes off to break 90, which most golfers aren't doing at Pinehurst No. 2. All in all, the experience was remarkable. I constantly scoff at courses that charge $300, $400, or even $500. But to Pinehurst No. 2, I say take my money. If it's on your bucket list, what are you waiting for? Play No. 2, and then play a few of the other great courses that I have profiled on the podcast. The most important advice I can give with No. 2 is play somewhere else the day before. The day before I played No. 2, I played Longleaf and shot a very disappointing 91 on a 65-degree day without even so much as a breeze. Had I played Longleaf the way I played No. 2, I would have broke 80. For more information, go to pinehurst.com or give them a call at 844-330-1669. As for golf front property, oh my. There are only a few homes on Pinehurst No. 2, and most of those homes are more than $1 million, and they are spectacular. With the US Open coming in 2024, now is the time to start looking. Give me a call at 845-365-3665 or send an email to brett@hmpfilms.com and let's get started searching for that premier golf front home from a guy who knows golf and is ready to help you and then play a round or two at one of the best courses anywhere. Once again, I'm Brett Bevilacqua with Carolina Property Sales. Next week, we go to a course you've never heard of, Siler City Country Club.